He had the world at his feet. In 2007, a 17-year-old with a golden voice and a radio-ready hit stormed the charts with Beautiful Girls, a song so catchy it defined a summer. That teenager was Kezian Paul Anderson, known to millions as Sean Kingston. He was young, rich, and famous. But fast forward to 2024, and that same artist was no longer gracing red carpets or headlining music festivals. Instead, he was being arrested by authorities after a SWAT team raided his Florida mansion.
The federal fraud trial for rapper Sean Kingston and his mother now underway in Fort Lauderdale. The pair accused of cheating multiple victims out of payments for everything from high-end cars to jewelry to TVs. CBS News
His
Miami's
mother, Janice Turner, was led out in handcuffs. The charge? $1 million fraud scheme. Most people fall from fame slowly. Sean's descent came with flashing lights, armored vehicles, and a long list of criminal charges. And it wasn't just bad luck or a single wrong decision. Authorities say this was an operation that stretched across states, involved identity theft, luxury vehicles, high-end jewelry, and bogus transactions totaling more than $1 million. But what truly stunned investigators wasn't just the amount stolen. It was who he allegedly did it with, his own mother. The same woman who had once been his biggest supporter, now accused of being his closest accomplice. And what they left behind? A trail of unpaid debts, angry victims, and a career that may never recover. This wasn't a case of a desperate artist trying to make a quick buck. It was something far more tangled, rooted in family loyalty, financial recklessness, and choices that began long before the headlines. Welcome to Psycho Crimes. Here, we dissect the most shocking crimes, vanishing acts, and courtroom bombshells the world has ever seen. From serial killers to celebrity scandals, we go beyond the surface and bring you gripping, detailed storytelling with real-life consequences. If you're new here, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And tell us, have you ever seen a crime like this play out in your own city? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because this isn't just about a famous artist losing his way. It's about a family, a pattern of deception, and how fame can sometimes hide more than it reveals. Sean Kingston's world came crashing down as he was quietly escorted from the courtroom just hours ago. The once celebrated pop star stood speechless, watching events unravel around him. His mother, Janice Turner, had just been taken into custody, and in an emotional plea, Kingston begged federal agents to protect her. But with millions of dollars in alleged fraud hanging over them, including claims of duping Reddit users and even leveraging ties to Justin Bieber for deception, Kingston now faces serious legal consequences of his own. So what exactly happened to Sean Kingston? If you're not familiar, Kingston once dominated the airwaves with a unique blend of Jamaican-American pop that had everyone hooked. But fast forward to today, and his name is trending again, though this time for all the wrong reasons. This is no rumor. The story is real, and it's staggering. Sean Kingston and his mother, Janice Turner, have been found guilty of wire fraud after defrauding multiple businesses of over $1 million in luxury goods. Yes, both of them. They now each face up to 20 years in prison for every single charge against them. Their sentencing is officially scheduled for July 11, 2025. Naturally, the internet is in shock, blown away by this mother-son duo now caught up in a sweeping federal fraud case. Let's rewind for a moment. Before diving into the scandal, it's important to understand who Sean Kingston is and where he came from. Kingston's upbringing was anything but easy. His childhood was shaped by hardship. He was arrested at age 11 for breaking and entering, served time in juvenile detention and boot camp, and even experienced homelessness, often sleeping in cars alongside his family. As if things weren't hard enough, during his teenage years, his mother was incarcerated for identity fraud, adding to the turmoil at home. Despite all that, Kingston managed to turn his life around. After being discovered on YouTube, he signed with Beluga Heights Records in 2007. His debut was meteoric, an underdog story turned success overnight. But things began to change. His later albums, Tomorrow, 2009, and Back to Life, 2013, failed to replicate that early success. Back to Life didn't even chart. Kingston, once a chart-topping artist, began to drift into obscurity. And that's where the story takes a darker turn. In May 2024, Kingston's South Florida mansion was raided by a SWAT team. Both he and his mother were arrested on multiple charges including fraud and theft. The footage of the raid, officers in tactical gear, swarming the property, looked like something out of a high-stakes crime thriller. The allegations? More shocking than you might think. Authorities claim that Kingston and his mother defrauded businesses out of more than $1 million through a scheme involving fraudulent documents and phony bank transfers. They allegedly targeted luxury sellers, from high-end car dealerships and jewelers to custom home entertainment providers. They reportedly scammed their way into Cadillac Escalades, six-figure watches, and home theaters valued at over $150,000, all without paying a dime. One of the most damning testimonies came from Fort Lauderdale jeweler Moshe Edery, who said Kingston used a fake wire transfer screenshot to purchase a $285,000 Audemars Piguet watch. Yes, you heard that right. Kingston tried to snag a nearly $300,000 watch with a Photoshop job. And that wasn't all. Investigators uncovered voice memos and texts where Kingston allegedly directed his mother to create fake receipts to delay payments. In one message, he told her, "I told you to make fake receipts so it looks like the transfer will be there in a couple of days." Receipts on how to fake receipts. Now, it's important to remember, Kingston's life hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. In 2011, he suffered serious injuries in a jet ski accident in Miami. From that incident to his legal troubles as a youth, Kingston's story has been full of ups and downs. But this fraud case? It's different. It's not just about fame, it's about family and potentially spending decades in prison. One of the most troubling aspects is how Kingston allegedly used his celebrity to manipulate people. According to court documents, he claimed to be working with Justin Bieber and offered businesses exposure through social media in exchange for goods. In one case, he told a luxury entertainment company he was Bieber's business partner, without Bieber's knowledge, to secure a $150,000 home theater system. The fraud scheme, according to the court, stretched from October 2023 to March 2024. Some of the items allegedly acquired fraudulently included a $285,000 watch, a $159,701 bulletproof Cadillac Escalade, an $86,000 custom luxury bed, a $150,000 home theater system, nearly $500,000 in additional jewelry. This wasn't a single scam, it was a calculated, months-long operation. In March 2025, a Broward County jury found Kingston and his mother guilty after just 3 hours of deliberation. That's how strong the evidence was. Following the verdict, Kingston was placed under house arrest with electronic monitoring. He had to post bond using a home valued at $500,000 and an additional $200,000 in cash. His mother, however, was taken into custody on the spot. Witnesses say Kingston broke down, pleading with U.S. Marshals to please protect my mother. Regardless of the charges, that moment was deeply human. Let's recap the legal timeline. May 2024, SWAT raid on Kingston's Florida mansion, mother arrested. June 4, 2024, Kingston arrested in California and booked in Broward County. August 26, 2024, both plead not guilty during pretrial hearings. March 2025, trial begins, lasting 5 days. March 2025, guilty verdict reached after 3 hours. Kingston and his mother were both convicted on 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, potentially 100 years total if sentences were served consecutively, though they typically run concurrently. One final twist? The courtroom drama didn't stop at the verdict. During the trial, the jury heard a voice memo where Kingston promised a jeweler access to celebrity events and red carpets. That same jeweler, Moshe Edery, testified that he was fired after the scam cost him his credibility. Meanwhile, the defense tried to shift blame. Turner's lawyer claimed she was trying to shield her son from scammers. Kingston's team portrayed him as financially clueless and naive. But the jury didn't buy it. After the guilty verdict, both attorneys announced plans to appeal. Kingston's attorney, Zeljka Bozanik, expressed disagreement with the verdict but thanked the court for allowing Kingston to remain on bond. Turner's lawyer, Humberto Dominguez, also plans to challenge the court's decision. But realistically, their chances look slim. The judge didn't grant Turner bail, citing her prior conviction in 2006 for bank fraud, for which she served 16 months in prison. That history painted her as the mastermind behind the scheme, with Kingston acting as the face. So now, the world watches and waits for July 11, 2025, when the sentencing will determine just how long Sean Kingston and his mother will spend behind bars. This is no longer the story of a pop star who fell from grace. It's the tale of a family entangled in a high-stakes criminal operation that may cost them their freedom. Now let's talk about what happens next. The sentencing is scheduled for July 11, 2025, which means both Kingston and his mother are currently in limbo waiting to find out exactly how many years they'll be facing. Kingston is under house arrest with electronic monitoring, while Turner remains in custody. The judge cited Turner's past criminal history as a reason for denying her bail, noting her 2006 conviction for bank fraud, for which she served 16 months in prison. This isn't the first time Turner has been in trouble with the law, which definitely doesn't help her case. During Kingston's teenage years, his mother was incarcerated for identity fraud, which adds a whole layer of complexity to this story. It seems like fraud charges run in the family, which raises questions about nature versus nurture and the cycle of criminal behavior. Speaking of cycles, let's not forget that Kingston himself had legal issues as a youth. At age 11, he faced a breaking and entering charge, leading to 21 days in jail and subsequent boot camp. His early life was marked by struggle, including periods of homelessness where his family had to sleep in cars. It's a classic case of someone who came from nothing, made it big, and then seemingly couldn't maintain that lifestyle when the checks stopped coming in. What's particularly interesting about this case is the role Kingston's mother played. The judge described Turner as the operator, fixer, and accountant behind the scheme, managing deliveries and ensuring the fraudulent transactions proceeded smoothly. This wasn't just Kingston acting alone. It appears to have been a family operation, which makes the whole situation even more complicated. Both defendants' attorneys have indicated plans to appeal the verdict. Kingston's attorney, Zelska Bozanik, stated, "We do not agree with the verdict," and expressed gratitude that Kingston was allowed to remain on bond pending sentencing. Turner's attorney, Humberto Dominguez, also plans to appeal, citing the need to challenge the court's decision. But realistically, the chances of a successful appeal seem slim given the overwhelming evidence presented during the trial. Now let's talk about possible sentencing scenarios. While each count carries a maximum of 20 years, it's rare for first-time offenders to receive the maximum sentence, especially in white-collar crime cases. This isn't Turner's first rodeo with fraud charges, which could lead to a harsher sentence for her. Additionally, the scale of the fraud, over $1 million, and the number of victims involved could also factor into sentencing decisions. Federal sentencing guidelines take into account various factors, including the amount of money involved, the defendant's criminal history, and whether they accept responsibility for their actions. Given that neither Kingston nor Turner pleaded guilty or expressed remorse during the trial, they may not receive any leniency for acceptance of responsibility. Legal experts might predict that Kingston could face anywhere from 5 to 15 years, while his mother, given her prior convictions, could face a sentence closer to the maximum. However, this is pure speculation, and we won't know for sure until the sentencing hearing in July. Another factor that could influence sentencing is restitution. The total amount defrauded is over $1 million, and the court may order Kingston and Turner to pay back this amount to the victims. Given Kingston's apparent financial difficulties, this could prove challenging and might result in asset seizures or wage garnishment in the future. The fall from the top has been very loud, and fans have definitely provided more insight. Fan reactions, social media storm, and what's next? The internet has been absolutely wilding since news of Kingston's conviction broke. On X, formerly known as Twitter, the reactions have been coming in hot. One user, @Crawfordunte, posted on March 31, 2025, saying, "Yo, Sean Kingston and his moms just got hit guilty on that fraud tip. Over 1 million fake flexin' on cars and ice. From beautiful girls to court tears. Son Wilden. Philadelphia don't play that. Keep it buck or get bucked, you mean?" This basically captures the shock and disappointment many fans are feeling. Another ex-user didn't hold back on the criticism. At CryptoDrugs101 commented, Sean Kingston referencing people trying to break him daily after a fraud conviction is wild. Accountability nowhere in sight. This points to a frustration with Kingston's apparent lack of accountability for his actions. Over on Reddit, the discussions have been just as spicy, but with more of that classic Reddit humor mixed in. In a thread titled, Sean Kingston facing decades in prison following indictment over wire fraud charges, users were quick to reference Kingston's songs with comments like, "Somebody call 911," and "Ain't no beautiful girls where he's going." Dark humor, but it shows how Kingston's music is still part of the cultural conversation, even if it's now being referenced in a much different context. What's really interesting about the Reddit threads is the personal anecdotes that have emerged. Some users have shared stories about Kingston not paying bills at a transportation job and demanding free popcorn in Ireland, suggesting that his financial issues and entitlement might have been a pattern long before these fraud charges came to light. One Reddit user summed up what many seem to be thinking. "I'm guessing he made a not massive but decent amount of money that had he been really smart with it, he could have lived comfortably. But clearly he makes bad decisions." This gets at the heart of the frustration. Kingston had opportunities that many people dream of, but poor financial management and questionable choices led him down this path. In another Reddit thread about Kingston's home raid, a user commented, "Washed-up celebs trying to maintain a lavish lifestyle with no money at all. Not surprising, but still fascinating that it still happens." This perspective highlights a common theme in discussions about Kingston. The idea that he was trying to maintain an image of success and wealth that he could no longer afford, leading to desperate measures. On YouTube, the videos covering Kingston's legal troubles have been racking up views. CBS Miami's video titled, "Rapper Sean Kingston, Mother Found Guilty in Federal Fraud Case," has garnered 8,920 views and 52 comments. Hot 97's video, "Sean Kingston and His Mother Found Guilty of $1 million Fraud Scheme," has received 198 likes. Even mainstream news outlets have covered the story extensively, with publications like Variety, The New York Times, and TMZ reporting on the verdict and potential consequences. The case has clearly captured public attention not just within music circles, but as a broader story about celebrity, fame, and downfall. But it's not all criticism and mockery. Some fans have expressed nostalgia for Kingston's music and a certain sadness about his current situation. In an older Reddit thread from October 1, 2021, titled, "Folk of Reddit, you ever just wake up and wonder what happened to Sean Kingston?" Users reminisced about his hits and questioned his career trajectory even before these legal issues came to light. This suggests that while fans are disappointed, there's still a connection to his music and a curiosity about his journey. Looking at all these reactions together, it's clear that the dominant sentiment is one of surprise and disappointment, though with undertones of nostalgia for Kingston's early career. According to an article from Rolling Out on April 2, 2025, the public reaction to Kingston's conviction has been predominantly unsympathetic, with social media flooded with comments questioning his financial management. This tracks with the overall vibe we're seeing online. A mix of shock, criticism, and even some gallows humor. So what's next for Sean Kingston and his mother? As we've discussed, the sentencing is scheduled for July 11, 2025, and they could face significant prison time. Kingston is currently under house arrest with electronic monitoring, while his mother remains in custody. Their attorneys have indicated plans to appeal the verdict, but the process could take months or even years to play out. If Kingston does end up serving prison time, it raises questions about his career post-release. The music industry has seen artists make comebacks after legal troubles, but the severity of these charges and the damage to his reputation could make a full career revival challenging. Kingston hasn't released a charting album since 2013, and this legal drama is unlikely to help matters. One possibility is that Kingston could use this experience as material for a potential comeback album or memoir. Artists have often transformed personal struggles into art, and Kingston's journey from homelessness to fame to legal troubles could potentially resonate with audiences, if presented authentically. However, this would require a level of accountability and introspection that some critics feel Kingston has yet to demonstrate. Another factor to consider is Kingston's personal brand and image. He has 8.4 million likes on his Facebook page and a significant following on other platforms, suggesting that despite his declining music career, he still has a fan base. How he chooses to engage with these fans during and after his legal battles could influence his future prospects. It's also worth noting that Kingston's legal issues come at a time when the music industry is increasingly focused on artist authenticity and integrity. In an era of cancel culture and social media scrutiny, the tolerance for celebrity misconduct has decreased. Kingston will need to navigate this landscape carefully if he hopes to maintain any sort of public career. And what about Kingston's mother? Janice Turner's role in this fraud scheme was described by the judge as the operator, fixer, and accountant, suggesting she played a central part in orchestrating the fraud. Given her previous convictions for bank fraud and identity fraud, she may face a harsher sentence than her son. The mother-son dynamic adds another layer of complexity to this case, raising questions about family influence and responsibility. This case also highlights broader issues within celebrity culture. Kingston reportedly used his fame to secure luxury items, name-dropping collaborators like Justin Bieber to gain trust from businesses. This speaks to the power of celebrity in our society and how it can be misused. It also raises questions about the pressure faced by celebrities to maintain a certain lifestyle, even when their financial reality no longer supports it.